You see him on the news.
CNN.com contributor, Dean Obeidallah. So, Dean...
Watch him at comedy clubs.
When I say Mecca, do you think of a holy place or an urban clothing line?
Read his articles. And you hear him on the radio. The Dean Obeidallah Show is on live right here on SiriusXM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters of the resistance. Wednesday, April 17th. I'm Dean Obeidallah, hoping to be your MBFF. I'm right here live. Got a big show, obviously a lot to talk about. First, I want to thank my friend Nair Huck for filling in for me yesterday. Last night, I was at a town hall. We recorded as a special to play tomorrow with the new governor of New Jersey. And what was remarkable about it to me was, in a microcosm, the week for Muslim Americans, especially the ones in Jersey, was on display. Earlier in the week, we had Donald Trump demonizing Congresswoman Omar, continuing, even after she got death threats on Monday, still ginning up hate, calling her hate America, ungrateful. Monday night, talking to local media, saying the same thing. She's very, very bad for America. And it was very emotionally difficult, challenging for a lot of us in my community going on there. Well, last night, though, on Tuesday, we had a town hall with a sitting governor, the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, in a mosque. It was open to everyone, and the turnout was not all Muslims, I can assure you, but over 500 people came out. And what was remarkable is that at the same time Trump and the GOP demonized Muslims for political gain, you have someone like Phil Murphy, the governor, coming to a mosque, making history. That was the first town hall ever in a mosque that we know of in New Jersey. In all likelihood, the first in the United States of America, but we can't be sure. We know in New Jersey history, no governor's done that. And there was a great cross-section of questions from a cross-section of people. But that room looked like America. There were black people and brown people and white people, all different backgrounds, all different faiths coming together. And what a contrast to the GOP. To the GOP, diversity is all different shades of white. Like a guy with a tan is diverse to the GOP. Well, we look like America. And that's what was such a takeaway. And all the people from different communities coming there to say we stand with Muslims. And of course, they had questions for Governor Murphy, some tough questions. We'll play it tomorrow. I was very excited about moderating it. I had some fun there. And for those who are wondering what will Donald Trump continue to do through now November 3rd, 2020, Election Day, what we saw with Congressman Omar is a preview. What we're seeing now with his draconian, callous, cruel policies against immigrants and those seeking asylum is just a snapshot preview of what we're going to see. It's coming attractions. Donald Trump will continue to demonize Muslims and blacks and Latinos, and he might even gin up hate of the LGBT community because he needs to get the evangelicals to come out, and they're motivated by hate. The more hate you give them, the more they vote. And with Congressman Omar, expect a lot more demonization because she is Muslim, she's black, she's an immigrant, and she's an outspoken woman. All four of those things is everything Trump hates and a lot of his base hates as well. And there was some polls out today that made an interesting point. The Rasmussen poll, and I've talked about this before, is a right-leaning poll. It's not a center poll. It overskews Republicans. So I look at that to see what's playing well for the GOP base. And in the last few days, that poll has climbed. Trump's approval rating went from 48 to 52% again. And that's because he was demonizing Congressman Omar. Going after a black Muslim woman plays so well with his base. So expect more of that. Although the flip side was other reliable real polls came out today. And remarkably, in the last few weeks, Trump has dropped 3 to 4 points, which is statistically significant. In a new Monmouth poll, he dropped from 44% to 40%. In this poll, can you guess the disapproval rating of Trump among women? Trump's disapproval rating among women in Monmouth poll, it's a highly respected poll, 65% of women disapprove of Trump. There's an entire gender that hates Donald Trump. This is remarkable. It was also a huge drop. Same thing. He got 40% approval rating in an Ipsos poll. He got a 39% approval rating in the AP Associated Press poll. These are all reliable polls. I'm not sure what's driving those numbers down. I mean, as of now, in the 538 average, and that's the one I use all the time to be consistent, it's an average of polls. Donald Trump's approval rating right now is slightly lower today than it was when the first Bill Barr letter came out saying Mueller had cleared him. So whatever Trump has done or has not done is baked in. But for some reason, certain Americans are turning on him. But tonight, of course, is Mueller Report Eve. And 'twas the night before the Mueller report when all through the House not a creature was stirring except Trump the vile louse. Trump's tweets were already written without even a care because he knew Bill Barr will not let America see what's really there. That's my little poem about Donald Trump. This is what's going on because we're not going to find out anything real tomorrow. And here, in fact, here is Colbert last night with a little bit preview of what we're going to expect to see from Mueller, from the report from Barr. So let's hear clip number 1, please.
The Mueller report will be released to the public on Thursday morning. Who knows? I, for one, can't wait. This is my Game of Thrones, in that I'm pretty sure there's some boobs in it. The report was originally supposed to be released Tuesday, today, but the Justice Department delayed it with no explanation. I have a feeling they're hoping to bury it over the holiday weekend, because if there's one thing Easter is famous for, it's things staying buried. And they put it in a tomb, they rolled a stone over it, they're like, it's never coming out. That report's never coming out.
Well, it's coming out tomorrow, and let's be 100% clear, so we're all on the same page. We are not getting the Robert Mueller report tomorrow. Again, we are getting a version that Trump's handpicked Attorney General Bill Barr has redacted to ensure that anything really bad about Trump, we don't get to see. And his whole goal is to make the Democrats subpoena, go to court, and then in 6 months or 9 months or a year, we finally get to see some of the things he's redacted. And the idea that Trump's Attorney General, handpicked AG, is going to be the one redacting it, that's not how democracies work. That's how authoritarian regimes work. And that's what Trump is. And we know Bill Barr's history. We've talked about it before on the show. And just to remind you, because it's very relevant to what we're going to see tomorrow, because it goes to the motivation and the past bad conduct, I would say, of Bill Barr. Bill Barr is known as the cover-up Attorney General. It's not my words. That's the words of William Safire in 1992, who was a Republican, when he was slamming Bill Barr for covering up for Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush when he was working as the AG for Herbert Walker Bush during the Iran-Contra scandal. And during that investigation by Lawrence Walsh, the special prosecutor, into Reagan lying to the American people, having people lie to Congress and selling weapons through Iran down to the Contras, rebels down, that we're going to fight against communism, all this stuff going on, it might ring a bell. The investigation ended because George Bush pardoned 6 people on December 24th, 1992. He already lost the election. He was a lame duck president. But leaving the office, he had his AG, Bill Barr, pardon 6 people. And Barr said, I favor the broadest pardon authority. There were some people just arguing just for Weinberger, who was Caspar Weinberger, the defense secretary. I said, no, in for a penny, in for a pound. And at the time, Lawrence Walsh, the special counsel, said about the pardons that it demonstrates that powerful people with powerful allies can commit serious crimes in high office, deliberately abusing the public trust without consequences. That's what's going on now. I'll read again. This sums up Barr today. It demonstrates that powerful people with powerful allies can commit serious crimes in high offices, deliberately abusing the public trust without consequences. And that's what we are seeing go on. And something else happened that just was covered in the last few days in the media a lot. In 1989, Bill Barr, at that time, he was the head of the Justice Department's Office Legal Counsel, wrote a memo about that the government, our government, can go take foreign leaders and bring them back here. And we can abduct people from other countries, not just foreign leaders, but it was about Noriega at the time in Panama. And when asked by Congress, Barr, about this memo that he wrote, and what was his rationale for it, and how did he come to this stark new conclusion that the FBI can travel outside of the United States boundaries and just abduct foreign citizens and bring them back for trial, he refused to tell Congress the substance of his memo. Instead, he said, I will summarize the principal conclusions, which of course sounds familiar because that's what he's doing with Barr, with the Mueller report right now. So Barr is the guy you pick if you don't want the public and you don't want Congress to know exactly what's going on. He's the guy. He's the guy you go to. And in fact, Bill Barr has made it very clear to us 2 weeks ago when testifying before Congress, he's going to redact his report in 3 different areas. So I want to go through them so tomorrow we see the redactions and we're all on the same page here. First of all, let's hear a little Bill Barr talking about the first 3 areas he's going to redact. Let's hear clip number 2, please.
Now, in my letter of the March 29th, I identified 4 areas that I feel should be redacted, and I think most people would agree. The first is grand jury information, 6E material. The second is information that the intelligence community believes would reveal intelligence sources and methods. The third are information in the report that could interfere with ongoing prosecutions. You will recall that the special counsel did spin off a number of cases that are still being pursued, and we want to make sure that none of the information in the report would impinge upon either the ability of the prosecutors to prosecute the cases or the fairness to the defendants.
So that's Bill Barr right there. So the first three grounds, first one, grand jury testimony. Just so everyone's aware how much the huge amount of information he's talking about redacting just there. Mueller used the grand jury to interview more than 500 witnesses. They had more than 2,800 subpoenas and 500 search warrants in the 22-month investigation. The testimony of 500 plus witnesses will be redacted if they're in the report. Doesn't mean they're all in that report, but whatever there is going to be in there. Now, the truth is that federal rule that Barr cited is correct. You're not supposed to release that to the public, but Barr could release it if he went to court and got approval. He's not going to do that, of course. Number two, classified information. He's going to redact any classified information. The reality is, though, Congress should see all the classified information in the House Intel and Senate Intel committees. In fact, in the House Intel committee, where Adam Schiff, the Democratic chair, and Devin Nunes, the Republican minority leader, who don't get along on anything, actually wrote a letter together to the DOJ saying, we want to see the entire report in the House Intel committee. That's remarkable that you have Devin Nunes saying, and we despise Nunes, but saying in this letter, recent letter with Adam Schiff to DOJ, we want to see everything in the Intel committee. And they're absolutely right. They see classified information every day. So you've got that. And third, information relating to ongoing investigations. To me, this is the area that I think is beyond dispute, that you can't reveal this stuff. And we're talking about Robert Mueller has farmed out certain cases that are still going on, like Roger Stone is going on trial. Michael Cohen's case that's going on in New York. There's ongoing investigation materials that should not be public until those cases are over. I get that. That's fine. So those are the first three areas. I will say my top line is the entire report should go to the House Intel and Senate Intel committees completely. And the reason being that they're the backstop for us to ensure transparency. Because if they see the redacted report and go, hey, everything redacted in there is classified ongoing information or grand jury testimony, we could say, well, we have confidence in it. And the flip side is they go, you know what? This guy, we read the report. This guy redacted a bunch of political stuff just to help Donald Trump, which I expect. Then we know that as well. Now, here's the fourth area. And this is the area that's the most problematic, especially knowing Bill Barr's history of what he's going to redact. And we'll play his clip from just 2 weeks ago. Here's clip number 3, please.
And finally, we intend to redact information that implicates the privacy or reputational interests of peripheral players where there is a decision not to charge them.
Now, to be fair, there's a long-standing Justice Department precedent to not release damaging information on people who are not charged with crimes. They didn't always adhere to that, though. Want an example? 2016. Former FBI Director James Comey wrote a letter to Congress about Hillary Clinton's emails, even though no charge was brought against her, and made a public statement, even though she wasn't charged. We all remember James Comey's press conference. That violated longstanding DOJ precedent. And even though he gave a letter with some details. So why not violate it now if you did it with Hillary Clinton? And again, remember, DOJ under FBI Director James Comey released information that Hillary Clinton was not charged. We all know he had a press conference. That violated DOJ regulations because FBI is under the DOJ umbrella. So you should do the same thing now. So the question is, it's all going to come down to this term, peripheral. He said they will not release information on peripheral people. Who is peripheral? Who is outside the central scope? Is Donald Trump the father, the president? I put that in air quotes. Not considered, that he's considered peripheral because he's not been charged. Donald Trump Jr., we want to know about him. He had a Trump Tower meeting. He's out there lying about that meeting. Is he peripheral? I imagine he would be. To Bill Barr, Roger Stone, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, none of them are charged. Does that mean we don't see any of that he just gets a pen and does all that to protect all the president's men, daughters, and son-in-laws? Is that the report we're going to get? You bet that's the report we're going to get. You know it. Tomorrow night we will be here and we will be screaming about what we're seeing is a cover-up that you only see in authoritarian regimes, not in the United States of America. There's no doubt we're going to see that. And I want to hear from you because we're going to take time before Danny Savalas comes here in the next hour and we'll talk a lot of legal stuff about this. But what do you expect Bill Barr to release? I will tell you what I think you're going to see because there's a lot in Bill Barr in his letters he's given us only cited two things from Robert Mueller from the actual report. One, which is really, really important, said specifically that this was not an exoneration. And secondly, this is the part that's going to require Bill Barr to redact a great deal of stuff. Because I didn't see the Mueller report. I'm quoting from the Barr letter, which in turn he's quoting from the Mueller report. He said the Mueller report, quote, addresses a number of actions by the president, most of which have been the subject of public reporting that the special counsel investigated as potentially raising obstruction of justice concerns. So to parse this out very carefully, because this is Robert Mueller's writing, summarized, this is not summarized, actually in quotes by Barr, he says there are a number of actions by the president, a number of actions, more than one, and more than two, because you would say two, a number of actions by Trump, so at least three, quote, potentially raising obstruction of justice concerns. So we're going to see at least three incidences where Robert Mueller is going to say this act by Donald Trump, whatever it might be, firing James Comey, asking James Comey to let Michael Flynn go, the list goes on, tweeting about witnesses, any of those, we're going to see Robert Mueller say, here is the number, here's an action by Trump that potentially raise obstruction of justice concerns. And we're going to see Robert Mueller's work go back and forth, why he thinks it is and why they think it might not be. How much is he going to let us see, Bill Barr? I can predict to you right now what he's going to let us see because he gave us a hint, although it was actually in Mueller's own quote, most of which have been the subject of public reporting. What Bill Barr is going to do is going to play a game tomorrow. Bill Barr is going to give you things in a report that look damning of Donald Trump. He'll redact wide swaths of it, but he's going to put some things in there that are negative about Trump. And what are they going to be? Everything that's already been public reported. Everything we already know, from tweets to comments like Russia, if you're listening, to Donald Trump's lawyers saying Trump helped lie about the Trump Tower meeting when it became public a year later, and the list goes on. So Barr can say, I gave you all this bad stuff about Trump, but what he's going to keep from us is the other evidence that Robert Mueller has collected that is very damning and devastating. There's a reason why Donald Trump has been freaking out the last few days. And the Democrats have said, Gerald Nadler, House Judiciary Committee, they have subpoenas ready. They're going to subpoena on Friday. I wish they would have subpoenaed the day after Barr didn't give the report. I mean, that's when you subpoena it. With very clear in the demand of the subpoena, we want everything. We want everything. Nothing redacted. You give it to us. We can do it in places like the House Intel Committee or the Senate Intel Committee, however you want to do it. But don't start by a place of being reasonable. You start a negotiation from what you really, really want. You don't, the idea is you don't negotiate against yourself. As when I was a lawyer, we go to court and someone make an offer and you're like, you don't want to counter yourself until you get an offer from the other side. You don't negotiate against yourself. So in reality here, you say, I want everything. And let them come back and go, well, we have grand jury stuff. You go, oh, well, we're going to see about that. And we have ongoing investigation. Okay, we'll see about that. You don't go, we want the report, but you can take this, and that out. No, you've already lost everything they should want. And we're going to find out tomorrow. There's a press conference tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning that Bill Barr is going to have a press conference. Is Robert Mueller going to be there? No indication of that. That's the guy we all want to hear from. Rod Rosenstein will be there, who's been a fair guy, but he is a Trump appointee. He is a Republican. So you have two Trump appointees standing side by side telling us that here's a report that we redacted and you can trust us. In contrast, Lawrence Walsh, after the Iran-Contra investigation, he delivered his report in August of 1993. It did not become public until January of 1994 because of fighting behind the scenes. When the report came out, Lawrence Walsh himself, the special counsel himself, had a press conference and answered questions in that press conference. And he slammed the AG. Now, he didn't mention Bill Barr, but he didn't mention Edwin Meese, who was the AG. He went through a list. He slammed former President Bush and Reagan for using pardons and for lying. Ken Starr, Monica Lewinsky, he did not appear at a press conference. He did testify later before Congress, which Bill Barr has no choice but to do that. But Kenneth Starr, during the investigation, infamously did little pressers on his own driveway. And the press would wait for him, and he would start answering questions during the investigation, spinning it against Bill Clinton. But in this case, we're not going to see Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller hands in a report and disappears. And that's where we stand. So tomorrow morning, 9:30 in the morning, we're going to have a dog and pony show with Rod Rosenstein and Bill Barr. You can pick who's the dog and who's the pony. I'm not going to get into that. And Donald Trump's already said earlier today that he is going to answer some questions as well, but not there, meaning the briefing to him must be great. They must have told him, we took out everything bad about you. So Trump seems actually happy. He did a radio interview a short time ago on a conservative radio show, and I think Larry O'Connor's show. I know Larry. And that's where we stand. Tomorrow morning, the circus comes to town, and it'll be a brawl. And the whole goal of Bill Barr is to over-redact, let the Democrats serve subpoenas, go to court, and if we win, and we likely will win in certain parts of it, we will get this in 6 months or 9 months or a year and a half from now. And all of the urgency, the fierce urgency of now to see this will be gone. And Bill Barr will have done his job, just like he did for George Herbert Walker Bush, just like he did for Ronald Reagan, was to protect the king at all costs. That's why Bill Barr was picked by the GOP establishment. That's why he's the AG. He's got one mandate, protect Donald Trump and the GOP brand. That's what this is about. So this is a charade. It's a farce. And tomorrow morning, 9:30, it plays out on the world stage. So let's take a break. I want to hear from you. What do you think we're going to see in the report? Are you expecting anything different? Do you think it'll move the polls in any way? Because it's remarkable. This is literally accurate. Donald Trump's approval rating today on the 538 average is lower today than it was the day that Bill Barr first gave us a letter saying Mueller cleared Donald Trump of collusion, of conspiracy with the Russians. It's literally lower. It's remarkable. Trump is still imploding while not being accused of crimes by Robert Mueller. And I don't know the answer to that one. I wish I did. If you know, share it with me. I'd love to hear from you. 866-997-4748. You're my guest right to the top of the hour. I want to hear from you. What are we going to see tomorrow? What do you expect? What should Democrats do? Be right back.
The Dean Obeidallah Show.
I think Trump clips that they play on the media should come with a health warning saying that if you watch this, you'll get dumber.